Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat?
Thought a solid first day. Obviously, we got a lot of things that we've got to improve on, a lot of things we have to get better at. But I thought for a first day, it was a solid first day. We 90 guys, and all of them, with the exception of Anthony Johnson, was limited. So I thought it was a good start.
Yeah, Anthony Johnson will start on PUP. That's the only Saints player of the 90 not available for the first day of training camp. So I don't know that you could hope for much more than to have everybody available. That was Dennis Allen here as the Saints opened up training camp on Tuesday, on Wednesday, the first practice of 2023 training camp, first practice of year 2 under Dennis Allen, who you just heard from right there. There's a couple of things that I want to get to that were big takeaways, but I want to let you hear from a lot of the veteran guys who took their turns today. One more, though, from Dennis Allen, who was asked kind of like, all right, early in camp, especially before you put the pads on, what are you looking to accomplish?
The first thing you want to do is you want to get out here and see how much retention there is from what we were able to get accomplished in the spring. And I thought overall, it was solid in that area today. A lot of this is kind of the ramp-up period, making sure that we're getting guys really in good, that they're really in good shape for the time that we put the pads on and we really start, really practicing. So today was an hour and a half, tomorrow's an hour 45, and we get into a couple hour practices. So it's not until next week that we, really get into the, kind of the grind of training camp.
So just to be very clear, and I thought DA did a great job explaining it there. Hour and a half today, hour 45 tomorrow. It's a ramp up. It's a gradual ramp up. And then when you get into pads is when things get serious. Because until you get into pads, you can't even really observe the linemen other than just how they're lining up. Like, for example, one of the things today that I did think was significant is the fact that James Hurst and Trevor Penning were rotating with first-team reps at left tackle. For me, that is as big a storyline, position battle, you name it, however you want to phrase it, when people do their lists, positions to watch, camp battles, however you want to phrase it. For me, there's none bigger than left tackle. We all know in football, the 4 most important positions are quarterback, and then the 3 positions that affect the quarterback: left tackle, edge rusher, cornerback, right? That's why those 4 positions are always the ones that are drafted first overall, that get the biggest contracts. It's quarterback, left tackle, edge rusher, cornerback. Well, your quarterback is set. You've got a bunch of guys vying for reps on the outside. Cornerback, I think, might be the deepest position on the team, but left tackle is the spot. You've got a veteran guy in James Hurst who's a solid player, but as we've talked about, he's not a franchise left tackle. And the guy you drafted last year to be that essentially punted his rookie year because he got injured in training camp. Played only 6 games, is like the tackle eligible. Number 70 is reporting eligible. Number 70. I mean, that's basically all Trevor Penning did at the end of last year. So, yes, I think that is massively significant. We'll start to get answers on that really whenever they put the pads on and then they start playing preseason games. But up until then, so much of it is timing and conditioning and all of that stuff. Meanwhile, Derek Carr laid out what his goals are for this first training camp with the New Orleans Saints.
I just want to compete now. I feel it's not a new language now. It's my language. It's our language. And so, we're here to compete. We're here to beat the defense every day. Until we get to play somebody else, and if, hopefully they don't get us, but if they do, we come back the next day, we get them again. So just that mentality to not stop is really, I would say, probably the main goal for all of us as an offense, and reps together. The more reps that we can get with everybody in that huddle, the better I think that we could be.
I think, obviously, watching Derek Carr develop who his favorite targets will be is going to be something interesting watching in this camp as well. I think there is a general assumption. I might be wrong on this, and maybe you disagree, and if you do, let me know. I think there's a general assumption that Michael Thomas is going to come and be the number one receiver, and Olave is kind of like the Robin to Michael Thomas's Batman. I'm not so sure that I believe that. For all the reasons we've talked about for weeks and months now, actually 3 years now with Michael Thomas. Chris Olave is the guy who had a 1,000-yard season as a rookie that I am anticipating is going to take a gigantic leap in year two. Not that dissimilar from what Michael Thomas did in his year one to year two. Remember, Michael Thomas year one had a 1,000-yard season. He had 92 catches for 1,100 yards. Year two, he went to 104 catches for 1,245. And then year three is when, every year he increased. He went from 92 to 104 to 125 to 149. Those were Michael Thomas's first 4 years. I would hope you see something similar. I'm not saying that Chris Olave is going to be the NFL Offensive Player of the Year. Don't misunderstand me. I'm just saying that he's going to be your leading receiver because I think he's got that ability. He's got the blow the top off the defense ability, but he's also got the opportunity to go over the middle and make tough catches. So I think watching the development, the timing with Carr and Olave is going to be really interesting. And Carr even spoke about his connection with Chris Olave earlier today.
At first it was like, hey, I see it this way, you see it this way, let's do it like this. And, that was OTAs. And, then we put some work in Vegas together. And now it just feels like he's my wideout and I'm his quarterback, and we're just playing football now. And, of course, there's always going to be things like, hey, I thought it was this, or maybe do it like that. And there'll be a little stuff like that, but it's not every play. It's not every route. We're just playing football now.
It's why the first part of that, I want to play that again. It's why sometimes when people poo-poo OTAs in minicamp, it's why I always take time to focus. Listen to the first part of this again. Play that again.
At first it was like, hey, I see it this way, you see it this way, let's do it like this. And, that was OTAs. And, then we put some work in Vegas together. And now it just feels like he's my wideout and I'm his quarterback.
Boom. That's it. That's the benefit of the offseason program. That's it. It's so when you get to camp, you're not learning how to crawl, then walk, then run. When you get to camp, you're already running. Now you're just setting your pace. That's the benefit of a productive offseason program. And it sounds like those guys made the most of it. I want to let you hear from some of the defensive guys in a second, but real quick, one of the other big stories, of course, is Trey Turner coming back to New Orleans. From New Orleans, went to St. Aug. We know played at LSU, was an awesome interior lineman, drafted by Carolina, made 5 Pro Bowls, but now this is his 5th team in the last 5 seasons. He went from Carolina, traded to the Chargers, 1 year in Pittsburgh, last year in Washington, now he's with the Saints. 5 years, 5 different teams. He was asked why he's bounced around so much since Carolina traded him to L.A.
It's ebb and flow, man. Sometimes you get into situations and, maybe your coach is not there anymore, different personnel switches. Sometimes you may not be playing up the part. Whatever the case is, man, it's ebb and flows of the game. But, I continue to get a job, so I must be doing something right.
There's truth to both of that, right? If people are teams continuing to sign him because of the allure of what he once was, or can he still play? We're about to find out, man, because, y'all, one of the reasons that I was so on board, with signing Trey Turner and Max Garcia for that end is the 2 guards you have been inconsistent at best, and Andrus Peat isn't even available. Andrus Peat has missed 16 games the last 2 years. Do you realize Calvin Throckmorton has made 20 starts in his NFL career already with the Saints? 20. It's because dudes aren't available. So get out there and get them. Now, was Throckmorton the guy? Maybe. But you're going to have to beat out 2 really good veterans who played a lot of football. That's going to be interesting to see. A couple more from day one here at Saints camp. Play the Tyrann Mathieu one about Jimmy Graham, please. This was Tyrann when he found out about Jimmy Graham.
Nah, it was funny, man, because I was in the equipment room and he kind of walked by and we had some words and Ted Ginn was here in the spring. And so, obviously, I played against both of those guys. I played with Ted in the past. And as we were talking, I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking he's about to coach, or he's helping out coaching. So I asked him, I said, "What you coaching?" And he was like, "Nah, I'm playing." So he kind of surprised me with that one. But I mean, he looks good, so I definitely feel like he can help us still.
That was a pretty funny anecdote, and it also goes to show you sometimes how players don't always lock in to social media or the media. If Tyron didn't, as big a story as that was on Tuesday, Tyron's in the training room today. Jimmy Graham walks in, he doesn't even know he's on the team. But just like we were talking about with Derek Carr and Chris Olave and their communication, their relationship, this is year 2 now for Tyrann Mathieu and Marcus May. And communication in the secondary, especially with safeties, as they often say, is like the quarterback of the defense, right? Making the calls back in the secondary and calling the defenses and the coverages, how important that is. And Tyrann did speak a little bit about their relationship on the field together.
We've definitely grown in that aspect. I think me and him still have, a lot more to prove and a lot more to offer. So, it was good to kind of get here in the spring, and both of us being present, every day and, practicing together, watching film together. So, I'm pretty sure that'll continue as we go through camp and, hopefully, we both stay healthy and it kind of carry us, throughout the season.
The first half of the Saints season a year ago, the defense was atrocious, and then they really got their footing underneath them with Dennis Allen, and they were spectacular near the end of the season. I mean, they, the great game, honestly, against Carr and the Raiders, the low-scoring game in Cleveland, in the negative temps, winning in Philly. Now, granted, Jalen Hurts wasn't playing in that game, but the Saints' defense was very good down the stretch. Tyrann Mathieu quietly had a great season last year. Played in all 17 games, had 91 tackles. He had 8 passes defensed. He did have 3 tackles for loss. He quietly had a very productive season. The tricky part is that Marcus May, because of the injury, only played 10 games. So Marcus May missed really roughly half your season. He missed 7 games last year. When he was out there, he was pretty good. In 10 games, he had 60 tackles, had a couple passes defensed. What does it look like if both those guys can stay healthy? Now, we're also waiting to see if Marcus May is going to serve any suspension this year. But if not, and he is able to play the full 17 games, and both those guys stay healthy, how good can they be in the back end of that defense? We know the cornerback position is on lock. What a depth at safety. That's going to be interesting. If both those guys play, awesome. If not, you have a bit of a question there. We'll watch that safety spot as we move throughout this camp. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.